What's up everybody? Welcome back to another video. My name's Adam. I'm here at Protective Film Solutions in Santa Ana, California, and I'm gonna go look at the brand new McLaren MSO X. We have beautiful black Ford GT. This one actually has a Kropovich exhaust. So I didn't know that the Ford GT comes with two exhausts. They have a standard, and then the sport package comes with this Kropovich exhaust. So maybe we'll get a start up later. So this is it, everyone. These are 5 of the 10 MSO X's. Now the MSO X is not named after the letter X. It actually stands for the Roman numeral 10, kind of like the new Apple iPhone X or iPhone 10. Now all the liveries that you see here are wrapped by Protective Film Solutions, and they're inspired by heritage McLaren F1 liveries that already exist. So it's kind of cool. These are like the modern little race car heritage throwback to the F1s. So right away you could see there's tons of visual differences from a base 570. The biggest one, we have beautiful intakes that come in on the front splitter there, and then they come out of the hood. So it's very similar to a P1. You could peer in there, smooth carbon little tunnel. There's a lot of roof scoops in the exotic game, but McLaren does theirs very well. You could see the mold and everything. It's super smooth. It's got a lot of shape to it. And as we come in, I love how tucked in that is through there. Coming into the engine bay, you could see the twin-turbo V8. I believe it's still a 3.8 liter, so it's not a 4 liter like the 720, but they are definitely tuned up from standard. One thing I noticed is they actually come on relatively not aggressive tires. They're P0 Corsas, which are pretty good, but considering this is like a race car for the road, I'd think they'd be on Trofeo Rs, but don't worry, this one is coming soon on Trofeo Rs. You could already see the tire wear. The back of the MSO X is pretty different as well, all dry carbon fiber, so you could tell throughout the entirety of the series, all the carbon fiber is dry. So the main difference is, besides just the aerodynamic package on these cars, there's a huge power upgrade of about 100 horsepower per car. So each of these have a roughly 670-ish horsepower. This one specifically right here has 770 due to an aftermarket tune that the owner already did pretty much immediately. So shout out to that owner, that's pretty cool. This thing is basically a 720 like LT. So the MSO X is already made. There's only 10 of them that ever existed, and they were all pre-sold basically to preferred clients. So consider it like a special project done with McLaren here for Newport Beach. I don't know which one here is my favorite. I really like the all gray one. Just looks naked and super cool with all the carbon fiber. The MSO X does cost quite a pretty penny, guys. It's not a cheap car. They go for around $450 to $500 depending on, there's different variables with each car, but overall it's about $450,000 to $500,000 for the MSO X. Going inside of the McLaren MSO X, you could already see how race car this thing is from a base 570. It's got the Sport Race P1 style seats, same as the 675 LT, but look at down here. Look at how stripped out this is. There's no carpets, there's no trim levels or anything. It's sort of like F1 style looking pedals back there, and a whole bunch of nothing. You can even see the exposed metal here that's bolted directly into the carbon chassis. So it's pretty nuts to see that there's no trim here. It kind of alludes to how much race car this car really is. And of course, what race car would be complete without a fire extinguisher? You gotta have that. That's the only thing in the passenger seat. The rest is literally carbon. You're sitting in a box of carbon. It's pretty cool, but you do have a speaker on the door, and you have 3 little USB slots. I think my favorite part of the inside, at least, is this super cool half roll cage. In America, for whatever reason, our regulations say that we can't have road legal cars that come with race cages, but McLaren kind of went around that by doing what's called a half roll cage, which you can see here. You can see each side is full carbon fiber, and it spits fresh cold air directly into the back of the engine on either side. So that looks really crazy on the inside. A lot of the owners were saying that it sounds really similar to a P1 in the way that it has intake noise. I can't show you this car without showing you the insane hood. Let's just take a look at the top piece right here. This is the actual clamp that folds down. It's super light. I bet it weighs around 5 pounds maximum. And then we have the massive intake holes on either side. But look at these. They're literally just massive carbon fiber like tunnels with a little bit of foam on top, of course. Gotta keep it comfy. This thing must produce so much air. Look at this. We have the front intakes totally undisturbed, by the way, so there's just so much airflow that comes through here. These are massive, guys. I've never seen intakes this big, not even on the P1. This thing must be totally stuck to the ground. see the cold start feature, it locks the rev range in under 4,000, so that's so you don't hurt the engine when it's cold. Quick little tour of the MSO X, guys. You can see it looks pretty much like the 570 software, but you can totally change up everything with the car. So you can change the powertrain settings as well as suspension, put it in track, sport, or comfort, and I'm sure on this car it makes a very big difference compared to the standard 570. Now it's in the race mode, so it looks sort of like a P1 style rev counter. That's pretty cool. What I find interesting about the MSO X is that it still has a 570S badge, although it does say 1 of 10, but you'd think it'd say MSO X in the middle instead of 570S. I love this little interior gap right here. There's absolutely no room. You could maybe fit like a pencil, maybe the tip of a pencil, but that's it. So that's a super cool little detail. You have all the controls very close to each other. I figured I might as well show you guys the Ford GT a little bit more in depth. I haven't seen too many of these, and this one is painted in all black. So instead of having the front carbon splitter, it's just painted all black. So pretty stealthy. I gotta admit, I love the new Ford GT's interior. Only thing I don't like is the steering wheel and how many buttons there are. I mean, look at all this. You have cruise control, songs, go back, different G modes, brights, all these sorts of buttons, and it's just too cluttered in my opinion. The dash is super cool though. We have dry carbon fiber. It kind of shapes it out a dry carbon, which is very nice. We have all sorts of different drive modes on the screen that you could kind of mess around with. This is really the new style of hypercar dashboards. It has such a beautiful display and all sorts of different functions. Coming inside, we have air vents on the door made out of carbon fiber. That's probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Jeez, look at this unit right here. The seats are really cool. They've kind of kept this these patterned lines, so that's a theme throughout the car. You can see it on the metal there and in the middle of the seat. The center screen is relatively not as unique as I thought it would be. It looks pretty much the same as my Fiesta ST, so that's kind of weird. If I were in a Ford GT, I'd want it to look more like that instead of the Sync 3 system used in Ford. The center starter is this nice goldish bronze color. It looks really pretty. You have the drive select mode right there. It's just a little dial, and then you have a couple different functions right there. I love these little buttons here. Instead of just being a button, it's this entire little piece that just guides your finger in nicely and wants you to press the button. Another cool thing on the interior, we've got an entire bar there that's see-through. So you could look underneath it, you could look above it, and it's entirely see-through. So that's gonna do it, guys. Ford GT, quick review. So that's going to conclude my video on the MSO X. Let me know what you guys think of this car, and is it worth $500,000? I think they're super cool. I don't know quite about $500,000, but I mean, these are literally like race cars for the road, and they have a lot more power than people think, so that's pretty cool.